Hello everyone and welcome to episode 49 of the Early Parenting Podcast. In today's episode, I'm talking all about resettling. I think resettling a baby or toddler is one of the most stressful parts of the sleep world, which I'm going to explain a bit about when it comes to this episode. I wanted to do this episode to give you some clear boundaries about how to use a resettle without losing your mind in the process. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Early Parenting Podcast, where we help you navigate the somewhat tricky world of parenthood so you can love the crap out of being a mama. I'm your host, Jen Butler, and I'm an early parenting consultant and a mama of two busy boys. Join me as I explore all things early parenting and deliver them to you in toddler-friendly, bite-sized lessons. Because let's be honest, your toddler is probably smothering pseudo-cream on the wall as we speak. I'll be dropping my hottest tips on baby and toddler sleep, feeding, boobs, behaviour, and so much more. Are you ready to feel confident in motherhood? Let's dive in. This episode's brought to you by the Crying Baby Checklist, my brand new freebie, which takes you through the 6 most common reasons why your new baby will be crying. If you want to get an understanding of the most common reasons for why your baby's crying, what's going on with their development and why that crying's happening, and how to calm your crying baby, then make sure to download this freebie. You can download this freebie at jenbutler.mykajabi, which is kajabi.com/crying-baby-checklist. Make sure to grab your copy today. All right, on to the episode. So first of all, I want to explain what I mean by resettling. So resettling is the act of helping your baby or toddler fall back asleep after initially having fallen asleep. I hope that makes sense. So usually a mum or dad will resettle when they feel like their child hasn't had a long enough nap or when they've woken up overnight. So one of the most common questions I get when I'm working with families one-on-one is how long should I resettle for? Now, the answer to this is kind of varied because it really does depend on your baby or toddler's age, whether it's day or night, and like the state they've woken up in. But to try give you an idea of some rules around resettling, here are mine. So you should always try and resettle your baby or toddler when 1, they've woken up upset and teary and are clearly still feeling tired. That is a no-brainer because in this scenario, they've obviously woken up, but they're just struggling to get themselves back to sleep, but they still need it. So really giving resettling a good crack here is super important. Number 2, when they've had less than 1 full sleep cycle. So a full sleep cycle is usually between about 40 to 50 minutes, depending on your baby. So if your baby or toddler hasn't had a full sleep cycle, I definitely encourage you to try and resettle them. And number 3, at night when you feel that the waking isn't needed because of a feed. Now, again, this is where age really comes into play because the younger the baby, the more feeds they need overnight. But my rule of thumb for feeding overnight is whatever your baby or toddler can handle in having between milk feeds during the day, you can add 1 hour onto that. So for example, a baby who can go 3 to 4 hours without a milk feed during the day should be able to handle 4 to 5 hours without a milk feed at night. And obviously once solids are introduced, this will all change. Now, I have done an episode on when will my baby sleep through the night. Definitely check that out because it kind of complements this and will help to give you a bit more of an understanding about what you can expect from your baby in terms of how often they need to feed at night. Now, when it comes to resettling, it's so important to set some limits on how long you try. Now, some people will say that the secret to good sleep is to just resettle. However, it's a little more complex than that. And anyone who's listening to this and is in a cycle of settling their baby and resettling the baby all day long, Like, you might be sitting here going, oh my God, like I understand what Jen's saying when it can be the most frustrating thing ever. I remember being in this cycle with Max, and it really impacted my enjoyment of being a mum when I was just stuck in this cycle. So young babies are notorious for taking only one sleep cycle at a time for naps. So this can leave parents feeling very frustrated, and it feels like they spend their whole day in their baby's nursery. And this is where my rules above come into play. But also adding in a time limit for how long you'll attempt to resettle is super important. If you're a really patient person, you might allocate 30 minutes to resettling when you know your baby or toddler needs more sleep. Or if you're impatient like me, this may only be 10 to 15 minutes. At the end of the day, I want you to choose a limit on how you feel. And this might change from day to day. Some days you might be super patient and super keen to get your baby back to sleep for that nap or overnight at that sleep. But other days you might be feeling a bit impatient, and that's okay for things to vary. It's just how you're feeling on a daily basis. So if you're feeling angry, impatient, annoyed, or any of these sorts of emotions, then I can assure you that your resettling attempts will be futile. Your baby or toddler can sense when your emotions are out of whack like that. And when you're feeling that way, you're going to be transferring that energy to them. They're not going to settle anyway. Everyone's going to get even more peeved. You may as well just get up and adjust the rest of the day by either bringing their next nap forward a little bit or make bedtime a little bit earlier, whatever it takes just so they can catch up on that sleep. Without creating these boundaries for yourself, you'll fall into the pattern of spending hours in the settle and resettle game. And this process will absolutely sap the enjoyment out of being a parent. So the other thing about resettling you should know is that you almost always have to be quite hands-on with resettling your baby, particularly if your child doesn't yet know how to self-settle. So the younger the baby, the more hands-on you tend to need to be, or if your baby just relies on you to get to sleep. So the thing with a resettle is your baby or toddler has already had some sleep, even if it's only 10 minutes. And this in turn reduces their sleep drive, so that tiredness and that drive for them to actually fall asleep. So it makes drifting back off to sleep a lot harder. Now, a baby or toddler who can self-settle should be given plenty of time to resettle themselves before you dive in there to assist. So if you know your baby can get themselves to sleep, just make sure that you are giving them a good crack and a good chance to try and settle themselves before you jump in there to do the hands-on stuff. So there you have it. I hope that you have a bit of a better understanding about when and how you can resettle your baby. Resettling is always trickier than an initial settle. So be kind to yourself in the boundaries you set when it comes to resettling, because you don't want your life to be spent in your baby's nursery in this constant battle of going back to sleep. Sometimes it's just about learning how you need to adjust your day. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to the episode, Mama. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to share the episode with a friend, with your mother's group, or tag me at Jen Butler Early Parenting on Instagram. The more that know about this podcast, the more people I can help. If you're looking for support that is personalised for your babe and tailored to your family's needs, then make sure to head on over to my website, www.jenniferbutler.com.au, and check out how we can work together so you can move through motherhood with confidence. Catch you in the next episode, Mama.